In today's episode of the Pathway Presents podcast, I got a very interesting guest here with me today. I'm with Michelle Tilton, and she's hailing over from the folks over at Gryphon, and she's the VP of Marketing. And essentially, Gryphon helps your team to drive revenue and maximize customer satisfaction. Right? Essentially, it's an AI-powered sales intelligence and solution, which definitely helps your sales team to do and run the most effective sales calls. So we want to really deep dive into what is all impact in Gryphon, but also how Michelle is thinking about growth for the company. So welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lucas. Thanks for having me.
Of course, yeah. So maybe give people a brief overview. What is Gryphon all about in your own words?
Certainly. So Gryphon is exactly what you said. It's a sales intelligence platform. What we do focus on is conversation intelligence and AI-powered guided coaching. So you have kind of that real-time coach in your ear or on your computer as you're having live calls, guiding you as to the best possible responses in the moment to maximize those sales. On the back end, we also provide conversation intelligence post-call, so your sales leaders can spend less time listening to recordings and bubble up the most important parts of coaching needs for the sales organization and customer success organization as well.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Now, tell us a little bit about the types of organizations that benefit most. Like, is there a certain scale, a certain amount of members in the sales team that are required, or how do you who do you think would be a great fit for Gryphon?
So right now we're seeing a really strong fit with financial service institutions, insurance agencies, healthcare, some tech firms as well. We definitely see that mid to enterprise size customer that has a lot of outbound calling being a really sweet spot for us right now in the market. There is an inbound component of that too that we're introducing that will actually provide the same AI powered services for inbound call centers also. So think about those that are on that top list of those call centers. You have your telecom, you have financial institutions and healthcare institutions. Those are really, really still our sweet spot on both sides of the inbound and outbound.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. So nice. That makes a whole lot of sense. And what would you say within those organizations? Who is sort of the champion? Is that bottom up individual sales reps that heard or want to bring in the technology, or does it come sort of more from the C-suite or VP of sales? Like, who's sort of the champion typically for Gryphon?
So I think it's definitely that VP level of sales, that frontline manager who is managing the day to day, who wants the intelligence bubbled up very quickly and wants to make their sales reps' lives easier overall. The technology helps take some of the manual data entry out of the hands of the reps, so it empowers the reps to do their jobs more effectively without worrying so much about the administrative part of their role. And in the same breath, the sales manager now gets a lot more data about what's going on within his sales organization. On the customer success side, similarly, we're seeing sort of that VP level as the champion and those who want more insights from what's going on in their call centers, those who are calling in and what kind of problems are they having, questions, and getting all that information bubbled up through AI so that they can comb through where they need to focus their most attention.
Sounds like it saves a lot of time and brings up things that usually might a little bit sort of overlooked, or actually might just disappear within the many sales calls that people do. So that's very interesting. Now, how would you say do they actually learn about Gryphon? Like, sort of, what is the journey looking like? What are the steps that they're going through, or the channels that you guys leverage for the buyer's journey?
Certainly. So we definitely are pushing to grow our inbound buyer's journey, certainly through channels through the website, but focusing on things like digital, pay-per-click, LinkedIn, all those different various digital channels, SEO, of course, being a big component of that as well. Our outbound channels, we do focus pretty heavily on intent data. So really focused in on those who are showing buyers intent to begin both air cover and direct outreach from our BDR organization. We have other channels as well. Events is starting to bubble back up for us so that, now that we're coming out of COVID, we can have those face-to-face interactions with people in our wheelhouse. And digital events are still very big for us also, and will continue to be big for us going into next year.
Gotcha. Okay, makes a whole lot of sense. Now, you mentioned the inbound and the website. Like, how do you think about the website? What role does it play at the moment, and where would you like it to sort of evolve towards for growth?
So right now, it's a very strong education tool about what it is that we do. I think we focused heavily on several buyers' personas when we relaunched our new website. Actually, just about 2 weeks ago, we relaunched a huge overhaul of our website, very focused on that buyer's journey. So providing them with not only information about who we are and what we do, but tools and resources, case studies, things where they can take that journey primarily on their own before having to reach out to us for more information. Answering questions for a variety of different buyer types, whether it's of someone new to their role, someone who's extremely seasoned, or maybe even a rep who is an influencer and bubbling up information to their manager. So we took a lot of things into consideration on that buyer's journey so that we could see more of those conversions through the back end on the inbound demand side.
Very cool. No, seems very interesting, and seems like you guys are taking a very sort of well thought through approach for the page. What I'm curious now about is, right, if you look at the website today, like what would you consider it, like what would be a strength of the website, and versus what would be sort of a thing where you can see further improvement down the line?
So I do think a strength is that we have streamlined what we do, I think, very clearly and articulated it much more clearly. I do think sometimes our history of our company was founded based on a compliance technology that we still offer today, and it's still a really strong focus. But being able to better articulate our additional service offerings on the sales tech side for conversation intelligence in real time. So I think we've done a better job of really articulating what that tactically looks like at an organization. For areas that we are looking to definitely expand, it's going to be interactive content, I think, is a key for us. Things like we have calculators for how these different tools can impact your business that we're building. We've got a lot more in terms of third-party validation through case studies. And those are some additional things that we definitely want to bolster a little bit and be able to continuously provide those tools, because that bottom mid top of funnel content is all part of what we need to have balanced on the site for a solid customer journey.
Very cool. Now, I'd love to switch gears a little bit, right? You gave us a great insight into sort of, what Gryphon is all about. Are you thinking about growth? How you think about the buyer's journey? Now, I would love to learn more about your journey as a marketer itself. Like, there's so much content out there for marketers, right? You could read and study all day long. Where personally do you feel you're getting high quality information for your marketing practices?
So for personally, I rely pretty heavily on the analyst community. So we have, analyst content from Gartner, from Forrester, from Argonne Research. We lean pretty heavily into conversations with the analysts because they're talking to leaders at all the different types of companies that we do business with. I think first and foremost, sort of their insights have been really beneficial to what they're seeing in the marketplace. I think conversations from our own customers are really important. We do drink our own Kool-Aid here. We do use our own technology internally for conversation intelligence, and being able to lean into some of those calls and understand how the market's speaking and how they're thinking and what they're thinking about. Those are two really big areas that, we don't necessarily have to go super far externally to gain some of that insight.
Very nice. Now, as we're slowly coming to the end of the interview, I would have some rapid fire questions. Are you ready for those?
I sure am.
What is the last book that you read?
Oh, do I get a pass?
That's fine. Otherwise, I would ask for the last podcast. We kind of, that's the alternative. Any podcast you could recommend?
So I am a big fan of the TED Talk podcast. I'd have to pick one in particular. There's a couple of them that I particularly like that probably aren't that include a few 4-letter words, but they're why you need to be. Let's pass on that one too, because there's a couple of Tabitha Coffey's podcast. I won't repeat it, but she's one of my favorites, and I think there are a few out there that really are very good for women in particular in tech as they sort of journey along their own path. So that one is probably one of my favorites.
Very cool. What's one single thing that your company is focused on the most at the moment?
So providing a really seamless experience for users, both from a user side and manager side, as well as wrapping in our compliance solution into the overall technology.
If there would be no boundaries in technology, let's say you have like a magic wand, what's the one thing you would fix for your role as a marketer?
I would want to know exactly who was visiting every single piece of content that we had, not just at the company level, but at the individual level, and be able to legally market back out to them without sort of breaking any privacy or compliance issues.
And for the very last question, right, if we do a little bit of time travel, if we go back to the days of the American International College, if you allow, right? So
Yep.
you're heading out of formal education into the world of business and growth and marketing. What's the one advice you would give yourself for your journey?
So learn as much as you possibly can without worrying about your own growth. Enjoy the moment of learning and being in your role and mastering that role before looking ahead to seeing what's next. I think what I see a lot is people who want to grow at a young age, which I was very similar to. And I think there were opportunities I could have sat back and learned more and focused on the here and now to learn as much as possible before wanting to take that next step.
Very cool. Michelle, really appreciate you, took the time with us today to be a guest on Pathmark Presents. I want to give you the very last word. If somebody would be forgetting all that we discussed about Gryphon today, what's the one thing that people should remember?
That AI is a tool that we have embraced, and I think the world gets scared a little bit about AI, right? It can be scary. It can be, for those who don't understand it, it can feel scary. But I think it's important to understand the AI that we're providing is meant to empower reps, not to replace reps, to remove manual things from their plate so they can do their job a lot better. So I think it's really important to understand the power of AI based on our tool is never meant to be a scary technology to replace anyone. It's really meant to empower them to just do their primary function as well as possible.
That's a very down-to-earth, very clear explanation, actually, of how it helps. So, Michelle, I really appreciate you joining the call, and thanks a lot for being a guest on Pathmark Presents.
Thank you so much.